freedom wisely used, to bring peace to a world in which we honor our differences and, even more, our common humanity. Such a triumph will require great efforts from us all. It will require us to stand against the forces of hatred and bigotry, terror and destruction. It will require us to continue to prosper, to alleviate poverty, to better balance the demands of work and family, and to serve each of us in our communities. It will require us to take better care of our environment. It will require us to make further breakthroughs in science and technology, to cure dread diseases, heal broken bodies, lengthen life, and unlock secrets from global warming to the black holes in the universe. And, perhaps most important, it will require us to share with our fellow Americans and increasingly with our fellow citizens of the world the economic benefits of globalization, the political benefits of democracy and human rights, the educational and health benefits of all things modern, from the internet to the genetic encyclopedia to the mysteries beyond our solar system. Now, we may not be able to eliminate all hateful intolerance, but we can develop a healthy intolerance of bigotry, oppression, and abject poverty. We may not be able to eliminate all the harsh consequences of globalization, but we can communicate more and travel more and trade more in a way that lifts the lives of ordinary working families everywhere and the quality of our global environment. We may not be able to eliminate all the failures of government and international institutions, but we can certainly strengthen democracy so all children are prepared for the 21st century world and protected from its harshest side effects. And we can do so much more to work together, to cooperate among ourselves, to seize the problems and the opportunities of this ever-small planet we all call home. In short, if we want the story of the 21st century to be the triumph of peace and harmony, we must embrace our common humanity and our shared destiny. Now, we're just moments from that new millennium. 2 centuries ago, as the framers were crafting our Constitution, Benjamin Franklin was often seen in Independence Hall, looking at a painting of the sun low on the horizon. When at long last the Constitution finally was signed, Mr. Franklin said, "I have often wondered whether that sun was rising or setting. Today I have the happiness to know it is a rising sun." Well, 2 centuries later, we know the sun will always rise on America as long as each new generation lights the fire of freedom. Our children are ready. So again, the torch is passed to a new
marvelous thing about this, among many marvels, is that the weather is so extraordinarily good on the East Coast.
And you know, Bernie, I guess we're going to say it and say it again, but after all the worry, and we don't want to discount the possibility of anything going in the wrong direction, but to say that we are now, what, 9 minutes past midnight, and so far the pictures are all positive. It's celebration, it's lights, it's dancing, and a lot of happy faces.
The Tropicana, Havana, Cuba. Our bureau chief there, Lucia Newman, told us a short while ago that people do not necessarily celebrate this millennium this year. Next year, but not this year.
That's right, next year, and whatever the government says goes in Cuba.
Did we say Happy New Year to each other?
We didn't. Happy New Year, Bernie.
Thank you. And a Happy New Year to all the women and men of CNN around this globe who have been working so tirelessly for the past few months to bring you this story as we've been bringing it to you since yesterday morning, and we shall continue for days to come.
You know, Bernie, there was a poll, I mentioned a poll a minute ago, there was a poll that CNN and Time did not long ago, and what will you be doing at midnight on New Year's Eve? 62% said kissing someone. So I guess we just saw some of the 62%.
Well, Wolf Blitzer's not kissing anyone at the mall, are you, Wolf? And Fred Hickman? I doubt that you're doing that in New York's Times Square. Gentlemen?
I'm not kissing anyone, but I want to wish Fred Hickman a Happy New Year. You got a nice party going on over there, Fred.
Well, you're not doing too bad yourself in Washington, Wolf. Happy New Year to you, too. It's wonderful. You can't lose on a night like this. What a wonderful occasion this is.
I'll tell you, this is one of the most exciting moments here at the Washington Mall. You know, they're behind the Lincoln Memorial. You're seeing pictures of the Lincoln Memorial right now. There was a sun that was coming up. We really couldn't do justice on television. You had a lot more cameras over there at Times Square getting all of those great pictures. And I'm not trying to belittle what you were seeing over there, but here it was in the midst of what we saw here in Washington. Actual fire that was going on down this reflecting pool that's seen so much history over the years. It was just a thrilling moment. Goosebumps all over my body as I was trying to experience it. I was just grateful that we could all get through this moment, given all the buildup of Y2K, the computer bug. At least for now, so far, so good. Fred?
Well, isn't it a wonderful thing? You know, we have 2 million people compressed to this small area here in Midtown Manhattan, no incidents, and you know, it's been just a loving experience for everybody involved here. Spirits are so high, and my hope, I guess, for the new year for all of us is that we can continue on with that good feeling and carry it over into other areas of our lives and perhaps, you know, enjoy ourselves a lot more than we have the last 1,000 years. We should do this again in 3,000. What do you think?
We should do it again. In fact, you know, the amazing thing, and I can see hundreds of people. I don't know if you can see the faces around this reflecting pool, but everyone is really packed. You can't even move. It's packed. But everyone is being really nice. They're being very friendly. There's nothing, no negative vibes I'm getting at all. I'm just getting positive vibrations from everyone around me. It's been a real thrilling experience.
Yeah, the same for me. And I have to admit this to you. I've been to Super Bowls. I've covered many of them in my days in sport. I've covered World Series. I've covered any kind of sporting event you can think of. Heavyweight championship fights right here in New York City, as a matter of fact. But I have never, ever seen anything this thrilling, this exciting, and this historic that I've had a chance to be a part of. And it's just been a real pleasure, and it's been a real pleasure jousting with you, my good friend Wolf.
Hey, you know, we had a lot of fun.
I didn't mean a word of it.
Yeah, we had a lot of fun. You had one advantage. You had the mayor of New York, Mayor Giuliani. Too bad we couldn't get the First Lady, Mrs. Clinton, over here. We could have had the two of them arguing a little bit over who was doing a better job.
Well, I'll tell you what, I'll see you here next year this time, and we'll do it again. I'll give you another shot.
Hey, Happy New Year to all my friends in New York. You know, I'm from Buffalo.
I know that, and a Bills guy. I don't want to be talking out of school. Happy New Year to my family too, back in Springfield, Illinois, and of course you, Bernie and Judy.
You guys
Bernie and Judy.
You guys
Happy New Year to you guys.
Happy New Year to both of you. You guys are getting a little mushy here. We liked it when there was an edge to the conversation.
Yeah,
Bernie, I just want to say
maudlin.
No, I know. But you know, we keep showing these pictures of New York and Washington, but we should say, Bernie, there are 20 states and Washington, plus parts of two other states that are now in the year 2000. I don't know if we have time to name them all. Maine, New Hampshire, Vermont, New Jersey, Pennsylvania, Ohio, West Virginia, Virginia, North Carolina, South Carolina, Michigan, Georgia, Indiana, Connecticut, Maryland, Massachusetts, Rhode Island, Delaware, Florida, New York, and parts of Kentucky and Tennessee. Those states are in 2 time zones.
And in this hemisphere, the Bahamas, Canada, we saw the live, beautiful area pictures from Toronto, the Cayman Islands, Colombia, Ecuador, Haiti, Jamaica, Peru, and in Panama. Panama now has official control of the Panama Canal Zone, having taken it from the United States. They lowered the American flag yesterday, a day before, and now it's official. The canal belongs to Panama and the Panamanians.
Pictures from the northern part of the North American continent, Toronto, Canada. And we're back in Times Square. It's probably worth reflecting for just a moment on what President Clinton had to say. He said if the 20th century celebrated freedom, he said, what is the 21st century to celebrate? What is the story of the 21st century? He said, let us hope it will be about freedom wisely used.
And here in Atlanta, home of CNN Center, there was a giant peach drop earlier at the Underground Mall. Nothing as dramatic as this, but the people in Atlanta are partying. And I must say that I was struck by something I saw here at CNN Center. At the stroke of midnight, while Wolf and Fred were doing their reporting and our other people were doing, here it is right here, look at this. This was the peach drop. Well, all of the hundreds of people at CNN Center inside this building, inside this newsroom, stood, applauded, and they were going around the computer terminal shaking hands and wishing everyone a happy new year. Quite a feeling, inside and outside.
Absolutely, and I want to repeat what Bernie said about here we have Orlando, the home of Disney World, where there are more celebrations, fireworks. Some of these cities are going to look the same because it's still dark, it's midnight. We're going to have to wait for sunrise to tell where we are in the case of some of these places. Here we go. This is what it looked like in Niagara Falls, New York, when the clock struck 12.
How long do you think they'll be awake into the early hours of this new millennium?
Someone asked us tonight, Bernie, what does Auld Lang Syne mean? And I think we figured out that in so many words, not an exact translation, it's for old time's sake. And I just want to echo what Bernie said a few moments ago, that the many, many people of CNN around the world, across the United States, circling the globe, who have been at work on this incredible story for weeks, for days. We've seen a few of them on the air. There are many more of them you won't see, you won't hear their names, but they've all worked extraordinarily hard, and we want to say thank you to each and every one of them.
And continuing to work. This is Boston. It's nice to drop in on these parties and these celebrations and to continue moving around and stay where you are. We're going to keep doing this. This is for you, and we're enjoying every bit of it.
Newport, Kentucky. The bell they call
The Peace Bell.
the Peace Bell. Very heavy. I'm looking through my notes right now to see how much it weighs.
It's a very beautiful bell. And you can tell it does not have a crack.
33 tons, our esteemed boss, CNN President Rick Kaplan tells us, 33 tons. It weighs, it's ringing. In the state of Kentucky, clearly, Bernie, this is the part of Kentucky that is in the Eastern time zone. There's another part of that state that's still 42 minutes from the year 2000.
Uh-oh, they're starting to get into the waiting pool, the reflecting pool in Washington, and that usually happens in the summertime when there are demonstrations and rallies, but This is an indication of just how moderate the temperature is in the nation's capital. People in the
Well, either that or they're
reflecting
wearing
pool.
wearing long underwear and rubber boots or something.
The Motor City celebrations in Detroit, Michigan.
From Michigan, we move to Florida to Epcot Center, part of Disney World. Some pretty magical looking lights and music.
With a voice from every country.
Indianapolis, Indiana, it's really something to have all of these live feeds coming in so that we can take you around the East Coast, and we're starting to venture out into the Midwest, because coming up in, less than 45 minutes, it's going to be the new millennium in the heartland.
You know, this whole day has been like that. We have had the luxury of watching our television sets as every part of the globe, every one of the 7 continents, so we haven't had any pictures from Antarctica, but other than that, we've watched the other 6 continents turn the page of their calendar to the year 2000. And even though, Bernie, we know that, more than half the people in the world don't really celebrate this Gregorian calendar that we're observing, the year 2000, still there's something special about the number 2000.
And as we continue this unprecedented coverage of the new millennium as it passes through 25 time zones, a quick reminder, you can follow our coverage for the next 3 days going into Tuesday morning. There were editions of USA Today on Friday indicating what we're going to be doing each hour of the day. And Saturday, Sunday, Monday, the topics of this new millennium that are so important to you and I will be expanded on and thoroughly explored on CNN.
And we're not even done with observing midnights. The last one to come is in Samoa. It'll be 6 o'clock in the morning Eastern time when Samoa recognizes midnight and the new millennium.
And in Chicago, our CNN bureau chief there, Jeff Flock, told us that at McCormick Place, they're getting ready to feed 3,500 people, people invited from every country on the planet. They came to Chicago, they were put up free, they were given clothing to combat Chicago's weather, although it's not very cold there now. And they're having a great time at McCormick Place right now on the shores of Lake Michigan.
And these are pictures earlier of New York City Times Square. That Waterford crystal ball we've heard so much about weighs over 1,000 pounds. It's not going to be used again. I wonder who gets to sweep the streets, Bernie, tomorrow.
2 million
City.
people here. 2 million people, 8,000 policemen and policewomen.
Just in Times Square, 7,000 or 8,000 policemen and women just in Times Square. We were told that 37,000 police, even the detectives, were wearing uniforms in New York City.
And as regards the Y2K rollover, at least as far as the United States military is concerned, when Greenwich Mean Time struck midnight, the rollover produced no problems. And they said so far the U.S. military has not been affected. Carl Rochelle reporting that the Federal Aviation Administration says everything was going very well. Frank Buckley is at Penn Station in New York City. Frank is getting ready to report from Penn Station. And we're back out in Times Square now. The crowd seems subdued, but everyone is just sort of catching their second wind now, because they'd been out there for hours, having got the best position they could get, and now they're just walking around and talking. This is how it looks outside, inside Penn Station. Let's go back to Frank Buckley.
Bernie, we are at Penn Station right now. This is some of the crowd that is heading back from Times Square. Some of the people, some of the trains will be their hopes on New Year's Eve. Tell me your name again.
I'm Cassandra Dunham from Cleveland, Ohio.
Tell me, did you get down to Times Square tonight?
How did I get down? Is that what you said?
Did you get to Times Square tonight?
No, I was unfortunate to get to Times Square, but I did enjoy seeing the ball drop, which was very interesting because I've never seen that in real life. I've always had to see it on TV, but it was awesome. I loved it. It was beautiful. Thank you.
Thanks for joining us. We are at Penn Station tonight, and there have been concerns about Y2K and the trains, and we can tell you that Amtrak and many of the train systems around the country and around the world have in fact decided to take a pause at just before midnight, some of them for a half hour, up to 2 hours. So far, no problems have been reported. We can tell you that the pause that took place here at Penn Station has taken place, and those trains that were paused here have taken off. I'm going to toss it back to you, Bernie.
Thanks very much. How are your eardrums doing?
I think some of those folks want to be on television.
Indeed. Well, the Midwest is approaching its magic moment from Chicago to New Orleans.
New Orleans and places like Granbury, Texas. Our own Candy Crowley's there. We're going to be visiting a part of Texas close to Dallas.
And also in this hemisphere, Mexico City. And to the north, Winnipeg in Canada. And in Central America, Costa Rica, El Salvador, Guatemala, Honduras, and Nicaragua. Waiting to welcome the millennium. Our live coverage continues in a moment.
On a Millennium 2000 special.
Washington Monument.
You know, the last time I
Lincoln
saw
Memorial.
someone doing this,
Look at
Judy,
this.
was when there was... Look at this.
Now, there must be some music. Can we hear the music that they're dancing to?
Maybe it's internal music.
It could very well be. You know,
The last time I saw someone dancing and standing in this reflecting pool before the steps of the Lincoln Memorial was when Stevie Wonder was singing at a tribute, the 20th anniversary of the Martin Luther King address from the memorial, the I Have a Dream speech during the March on Washington. And people were literally dancing, doing what these two young women were just doing, dancing in the reflecting pool.
you know, that Washington Monument, people may say, well, gee, when are they going to finish all the construction work on it? But when you light up the scaffolding around it, it is something to behold.
Now, the spirits are very high everywhere as the millennium comes to the various time zones in the United States, in Central America, and Canada, and South America. And as our correspondents have indicated, everyone is in a good mood. No problems to report.
All right, you'd think that from these pictures in Washington and New York that it was all over but the shouting in the United States of America, but we're going to take you to a big city in the Midwest, Chicago. We don't know what they're doing in any pools in Chicago, but Jeff Flock, you're going to bring us up to date. They are having a very special celebration.
So
well, that camera, Judy and Bernie, that you see out there is out by the lakefront, but you'd have to be pretty crazy to get in the water tonight, even though it's fairly warm by Chicago standards. Inside here, the McCormick Place Convention Center, however, considerably warmer, and they are dancing it away. The Chicago 2000 International Millennium Celebration is on in full swing. Outside, there will be big-time fireworks in about a half an hour, and inside, you know, you spent a lot of money and time at CNN today talking to people all around the world. Well, the fact is all you had to do was come to Chicago because it's a veritable United Nations of people that have been brought here, 2 people from each country in the known world. And I have a group of them with me, and I'd like to first just ask you, what is your name and where are you from?
My name is Berit Kristoffersen. I came from Norway.
And you, sir?
Hans, I'm from Norway.
Hi, I'm Craig from Scotland.
Adenike Badejo from Nigeria.
I'm doing a Badejo from Nigeria.
Asdin Nekmouche from Morocco, Casablanca.
How has it been in Chicago? How's this experience been?
Wonderful, and it's a first experience that we hope that it will be every year like this in all over the world, because it's a message of peace that the world have to keep every year in mind and to repeat it for not forgiving it.
I must ask you if you're surprised that there haven't been any Y2K computer problems.
Yes, It has been a surprise that there was no problem with the Y2K compliances. And for one thing, Chicago is a country that has gone so well in computer and understands the technology of the new computer. So I am not surprised at all.
I must ask Krieg from Scotland, and a while ago we saw some people in the mall in Washington, D.C. wading in the water. Billy, I'll ask you to show Krieg is wearing a native dress. Have you been bothered by the weather in Chicago?
No, it's been quite warm, fortunately, so it hasn't been a problem.
I must ask you, folks from Norway, finally, before we get away, what has been the best part of this experience of bringing virtually the entire world together?
Oh, I've been meeting all these different people, and to meet all these itself is a wonderful experience. And to meet the people of Chicago, too, has been very nice.
Thank you. We appreciate you folks. A Noah's Ark here in Chicago tonight, and of course, we're not even close yet. We still have a good half hour away, and all I can say is we wasted a lot of money at CNN today going all around the world. All you had to do was come here to Chicago. Bernie, Judy.
Jeff Flock, thanks so very much. Well, we're not going to waste any time. Let's call in Lou Waters. He's in the Big Easy. Lou.
Yes, I am, Bernie, and I've been looking at all those pictures of the masses of humanity in Washington and New York. I heard Mayor Giuliani talk about spread out in a mile in all directions from Times Square. Take a look at Bourbon Street tonight. We're talking about 76, 78 square blocks packed in like sardines down there. But unlike the rowdy and gaudy Mardi Gras, you'll even see a few tuxedos and evening gowns associated with this Millennium celebration here in the Big Easy. Although they're crowded in and there are many tens of thousands of people, perhaps hundreds of thousands, it's not as big as Mardi Gras, the police tell me. Hotels are about 80-90% booked. They're 100% booked for Mardi Gras. It is a big party. All police are off their days off and vacations through next Wednesday, because after this party comes the Sugar Bowl at the Superdome on Tuesday. Back-to-back parties to start out the new year. We are moved down here on the edge of the Mississippi River, where it's getting a little cool now, fog rolling in. It's been very warm days. It's a gentle evening, but there's a slight chill in the air now as we await in the next 25 minutes or so for them to light the candle on the barges out here in the middle of the Mississippi River and shoot the massive fireworks display over Jackson Square and over the Riverwalk here, where some of those sardines have managed to squeeze out of Bourbon Street, and they're joining us down here now for the big show. Bernie, Judy.
All right, Blue Waters, that's something definitely we would look forward to. 78 square blocks. You know, I know the folks in New York are proud of what they've got. And look, here's Washington. We're back in the mall in Washington. It looks like a lot of people are getting into the water there in the reflecting pool. We leave you with that picture as the clock says we are just 25 minutes away from midnight in the central time zone of the United States, parts of Canada, parts of South America.
This gentleman proposed to this lady, and you said...
I said yes.
And show me what you have on your finger.
I have a beautiful engagement ring. Beautiful, I love it.
Now tell me the story. Was there any doubt she would say yes to you?
Yeah, I was a little bit worried coming up here, but the clock ticked down, and luck was on my side. She said yes. It's the best New Year's I've ever had in my life.
So tell me exactly when you proposed to her. Was it before or after the millennium began?
I waited till the end of the countdown, and once the fireworks went off and we could hear voices again, I proposed to her, and she said yes.
So it wasn't the year 2000?
No, yes, it was in the
year. You got to know that, what year you proposed to her. So when are you going to get married?
I don't know. I don't know. I just found out about it now.
Okay, well, we're glad you said yes. A lot of people are having a good time here in Times Square, especially this couple, as they celebrate the new millennium in a very nice way. Bernie and Judy, back to you.
Gary, what are their names? You going to tell us?
I think he's going away from us.
Folks, can you still hear me?
Yes, we can.
You know what? One question I didn't ask you guys, a very important one. So everyone in the world who's watching right now knows your names. What are your names?
Suzanne Hall.
And your name?
Jay Erickson.
Very nice meeting you. Good luck to both of you. Bernie and Judy, back to you.
And quickly to Texas. Candy Crowley is in Texas, and Candy, there's love in the air.
Yes, there is. I can't come up with a couple about to be married. However, we have run several times into a young married woman who is very pregnant, says she's about to give birth any day, and she has written Baby 2000 across her belly, which she's shown us several times. The one that is going to lead the countdown to New Year's here in this small town of about 6,000. There's 2,000 to 3,000 here in the town square. Various activities, you know, painters, palm readers, sort of a mix of a kind of a circus and a New Year's Eve, a sort of family time. Children, they just got finished doing the conga to one of the songs here. Right now, what they're waiting for is what people in every city we've seen so far in the last 22, 23 hours are waiting for, and that is for the strike of midnight, when they will listen to the bell peal off the top of this courthouse. This bell was constructed by the same firm that did Big Ben. It is something they're very proud of. They will also tell you that it has rung in 1 century before this, so this is the 2nd century for this town of Granbury, which really is sort of become a historic restoration and has moved from an agricultural community, and then in the 60s began its restoration, and now is a big tourist attraction. And so they have thrown this New Year's Eve party and calling it Back to the Future, because indeed this town found its future in its past by reconstructing all of these buildings, some of them from the late 1900s into the the late 1800s into the 20th century. So they are prepared here. We have less than a half hour to go. Children ranging from babies up to elderly couples have been in the town square, and they're just waiting, like everyone else has across the world, for the midnight to strike. Bernie and Judy?
Candy, I listen very closely to you always, and earlier in one of your reports you said the town square is the epicenter there?
It is. I mean, the town square is sort of what they have built up around. The town is obviously bigger than this, but this is where sort of the centrifugal force, really. The town's main shops are around here, mostly antiques, souvenirs, that kind of thing. I have to tell you, there's a lot of folklore that they pass along to the tourists that come here. Also, this will give you an idea of what sort of town it is. 26 bed and breakfasts are here. So people across Texas. We were at bed and breakfast this morning, and we're with 2 couples who were celebrating their anniversary. So this draws them in from all around Texas, and they were hoping that some would come from outside this town, and indeed they appear to have come from all over Texas here to help celebrate in Granbury.
And Candy, picking up on your point about the lady with Baby 2000, or words to that effect written across her belly, courtesy of the Reuters wire service, 2 twin boys born in Berlin, Germany, this night. One born in one millennium, the 2nd millennium, the other one born 5 minutes later in the 3rd millennium.
And wherever you're watching and listening.
They win.
And to you, our viewers, wherever you're watching and listening, our worldwide coverage. As we get ready to pause for a moment, look at this. Sunrise over Beijing. Sunrise over Beijing. Sunrise over Beijing, now over the Great Wall, and this is Tiananmen Square.
CNN's global coverage of Millennium 2000 is brought to you by Aflac.
But also on the streets of Mexico City. It started early afternoon with street concerts on Mexico City's main thoroughfare. Mariachis, salsa singers, even hard rockers were out to entertain thousands. Streets normally filled with traffic or demonstrators were today crowded with people out to have fun.
They like to celebrate a lot, every kind of festivities, and I think they do it quite well.
And people expressing their hopes for the best in the new year. This man says 2000 is a year brimming with hope, hopes that people will be more tolerant and generous to others. Throughout this city of 20 million people, the celebration of the start of the new millennium has been impossible to ignore. Mexico City's monument to the revolution, a huge triumphal arch located in the heart of the city, was specially lit up. But the main center of attraction is the Zócalo, Mexico City's main square, where a huge party got underway as dusk fell on 1999.
Judy, and that party is continuing now. We're only minutes away from midnight here, and we're waiting for about 200 mariachi bands that will be playing two serenades, one for the old year and one for the new one that's coming. It's a tradition here that you sing songs to people as you say goodbye to them and as you welcome them and on their birthdays. So that's what we'll be expecting here in the next few minutes. Judy?
Thank you, Harris. We've been reading of high security, Bernie, there in Mexico City. We're so happy to see that so far all is smooth and happy.
And happy. People are waiting in Mexico City. They're also waiting in Las Vegas, as is Lauren Sidney.
That's right. They are waiting to get married. We are back here in Las Vegas overlooking that famous 4-mile strip from our perch at the Four Seasons Hotel. Now, Y2K glitches are not expected to affect Vegas hitches. Gambling, drinking, and show-going aren't the only things to do here. Saying I do has become a very popular activity, especially this New Year's Eve. We sent our Paul Verkaman, who is happily married, to the Little Chapel of the West to check out some New Year's nuptials.
Dearly beloved, we are gathered here for a fast-forward version, a fast-break version of weddings in Las Vegas. Many couples tying the knot this New Year's Eve. And these are now Mr. and Mrs. Baca from Orange County, California. We understand you got married earlier. Why did you want to beat the year 2000 deadline?
Because I'm really into the Old West. In fact, we go to Tombstone, Arizona every year on the anniversary of the gunfight at OK Corral, and I feel like with the 1900s, a lot of the Old West is dying out. 2000 sounds like space age, so we wanted to do it while it was still the 1900s.
One last cowboy yeehaw. How are you feeling right now emotionally? You okay with all of this?
Yeah. It was scarier than the ride up top of that stratosphere, but it was fun. It was okay. It was beautiful, really. It turned out really pretty.
Congratulations, Mr. and Mrs. Baca, on your entry into marital bliss. We should note that the Clark County Clerk's Office is putting on extra staff members because so many people are going to tie the knot in Las Vegas. The numbers are hard to estimate, but maybe up to 2,000 couples, so multiply by 2, 4,000 people will get married here in Las Vegas, maybe the romance capital of the world right now. I'm Paul Verkaman reporting from Las Vegas.
And if you're in a hurry here, they even have a drive-in chapel. Now, one of the hottest tickets in town is the Divine Miss Midler's Millennium New Year's Eve concert. Nobody does it better than Bette Midler. And we have a little bit of the beginning of her concert at Mandalay Bay. Here's a peek.
Well, we didn't get to hear Bette Midler, but we know she's a great singer, and we saw her talking a little bit earlier today with Lauren Sidney. And here it is.
She is indeed the divine Miss M. That's it for now, but we will have much more throughout the evening. There will be more Bette. There will be even some barbers, so please stay tuned. Reporting from our perch at the Four Seasons Hotel, which, by the way, Bernie and Judy, provides these recovery kit with all the makings to take care of any headaches that either of you might have throughout the evening. So if you want this, I'm more than willing to send it down to you. Just let me know, okay?
Thanks, Lauren.
Who could get a headache from what we're doing? We're
so
having
far,
too much fun.
we don't need it. I don't think we're going to.
Yeah, I can't wait to hear those 200 mariachi bands in Mexico City. That should be something.
That's right. We're going to take a break. Much, much more ahead. We'll be back.
Was someone making an announcement?
From Mexico City, points north and south. We'll be right back. To New Orleans, to Texas, and Mexico. We are in cities large and small.
CNN coverage of Millennium 2000 rolls on right now.
upper left-hand corner, the Windy City, the largest fireworks display in Chicago's history, about to get underway. We are at a minute